Regulation has been a massive topic recently in major financial jurisdictions affecting the Forex and CFD industry. But what about Switzerland? That's been something that hasn't come into the discussion. Well, it has now. We look at why it's unique. Regulation is something very, very much discussed. It started being discussed some time ago, but the last year and a half, many regulatory jurisdictions around the world have started implementing massively new frameworks. But Switzerland is a quiet, well-organized and long traditional history of good quality regulations that has not been affected. It's a bit like a yacht with its masts straight, and nobody is discussing it, yet the companies here are very high quality. This is something very interesting.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I do agree that the Swiss boat is going always safely, and we have also our own way to sail, I would say, on the wave of regulations. And we do have our own way, own approach about regulation. One of the features, for instance, is that Switzerland requires that institutions offering Forex must be banks.
Yes, they must. Yes, indeed.
And this is maybe not unique in the world, but quite rare. Actually.
Very rare. I can only think of Denmark as being another one. That's about. I can't think of any other. They must be, but it's very rare, as you say.
There must be, but this is a quite tough requirement.
Yes,
so standards are high. At the same time, we have, in some ways, I would say, more flexibility than in other jurisdictions. Because the Swiss regulation is based on principles and doesn't go to the details.
That's very interesting indeed, because actually many regulations, especially in the major jurisdictions, North America, Britain, Australia, regions of the world, Singapore, that have been associated with the high-tech financial services industry and are respected, are very detail specific and very litigious as well. The legal entity of it is very much under, there's a lot of lawsuits, there's a lot of difficulties. If there's a transgression, it gets publicly posted in America as being a lawsuit against the company. But Switzerland doesn't seem to have any of that.
It's, again, we have our own way. Maybe US example is quite opposite to illustrate what Switzerland is. Switzerland prefers to, I would say, in the way we settle issues, we like to settle amicably. This is true. There is no, I would say, court case for any reason. And Swiss institution, I believe, favors, I would say, gentleman agreements and amicable settlement of issues. And to come back to the regulation, I would say the characteristic of the Swiss way, the Swiss regulation, is that it is giving some general objectives, some guidelines, like you need, as an institution, you need to manage your risk effectively. You need to act with integrity and to protect client interest. And you need to act responsibly. But after how you reach these objectives, it's more, I would say, your business, and you have some freedom to reach these objectives. And this creates a system where there is room for innovation, there is flexibility to find the best approach, which fits your business model, your particular situation as an institution, and there is freedom so for the players, financial intermediaries, and also for the clients.
That's interesting. There must be a lot of interaction between the companies and FINMA. The FINMA is the Swiss regulatory authorities, the banking authority. There must be, because to have a very pragmatic approach where there isn't a regulator that doesn't understand the industry like there is in some other places, that sets down some laws and then you have to try and fit into them, and then it doesn't benefit anybody. To have a framework which is open and lets the companies work towards their business model and then fits around it. There must be a lot of interaction between the regulators and the companies to be able to do something like that.
Of course, there are interactions. I wouldn't say that they are more numerous in Switzerland than abroad, but this results from an approach which is typically Swiss. You know, the Swiss mentality is to be reasonable and balanced.
That's right.
There is no excess in nothing. We like to balance the interest of institutions, the interest of clients. We consider that people, I would say, of age, they are adults and responsible of their decisions. And we expect financial institutions to act responsibly with fairness, to be transparent on risk. But after, it's a private deal between a client and an institution, and the regulator will not interfere too much as long as the system works fine.
I think there has to be, and this is something we'll cover in the next episode, but I think there has to be able to make that system work as well as it does here in Switzerland, it's relying on a very highly educated population and a series of high quality companies that operate in this country that want to get it right. Because if you think of it, there are 4 companies here that are doing OTC trading. All of them are banks. One of them is a Swiss bank division of a British company. One is a Swiss bank division of a Danish company. Then you have 2 Swiss companies, homegrown Swiss companies. They are companies whose mentality is towards highly tuned technology, good trading environments, that kind of thing. It relies on that to have this Swiss approach. So therefore, there must be a way that only Swiss companies should be able to fit under the Swiss banking umbrella.
At the same time, Switzerland is quite open, I would say, to foreign players. So it's quite easy from foreign institutions to sell their products in Switzerland. But if we speak about the Swiss players, we do also, I would say, in a tradition of Swissness with Swiss mentality, which also means, I would say, honesty. And we feel a responsibility to protect also the Swiss reputation, the Swiss brand.
Yes, absolutely.
Also a responsibility as a Swiss institution to preserve, I would say, the value of this brand. And this is a responsibility that FINMA is giving to us. We are in charge of protecting, I would say, the Swiss reputation.
Absolutely, and custodianship of the brand is something which I'd really like to cover, and we will certainly do that in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining us, Laurent Bellieres.
Thank you, Andrew.
Laurent Bellieres, Chief Risk Officer at Dukascopy Bank. Nice to see you.
My pleasure, really.
I'm Andrew Sachs-McLeod, Chief Executive Officer of Finance Feeds. Thank you very much for joining us here today at Dukascopy TV in Geneva, Switzerland. See you next time. Goodbye.